Good evening YouTube and welcome back. So in this video I'm going to go over exceptions, and I'm also going to show you how to create two different types of classes first, because I forgot to make a video about it, but honestly the video would have been like 2 minutes long. So I just figured I would add it into this one. So two ways to make a class is you can make one in the same class. So I have the class called program. If you find the sibling curly bracket, you can go below that and just type in public class. Now I'm going to call this class, I'm going to name this class as an exception. So I'm going to go number is 0, or not even that. Let's go with name is Antares. There we no, that wouldn't be a very good one. Yeah, let's go with number is 0. Okay. And now we have this class called number is 0. Just like this one. The other way is to right-click on the project's name, go down to Add, and you can either go New Item, or at the bottom it says Class. If you just click the bottom one, it does the same thing. Like, see how this one popped that up? If you right-click on Add a New Item, it pops up the same thing. That's all. And then at the bottom you just name it. You can delete the CS, that don't matter, because it's already creating a class as long as it's highlighted. So like if you were to say, yeah, like everything's .cs, so that don't matter. So let's just name this one number is 0. And then you just click add, and on the left hand side it says number is 0. But I don't want that one for this video, but we will use that later. So that is gone. You just right click it and delete it. It's no big deal. And it deletes it from your solution too. And we'll go over, it might go over adding different projects later on. But let's go over exceptions. So there are different kinds of exceptions. There are the IO exception, which if you're dealing with input and output, like for text documents and stuff like that, it handles those errors. Index out of range exception, it handles errors with arrays. So for instance, I'll throw an error real quick. Int num. Okay. Now I'm gonna go sorry, I got carried away there. Let's create an array called numbers. Make it equal a new array, and there's gonna be 10. So you can have 10 objects or 10 numbers in this array. Now we're going to go for int I equals 0. Now let's go int I equals 0, because all arrays start with 0. And we're going to go I is less than 10, because we know that there are 9. The highest number we can have is 9, because it's 0 based. I plus plus. Whoops. And we're going to go numbers I equals I. Now, this will not throw an exception. And the reason this won't throw an error, because the first number is 0 and the first number in an array is 0. We know that if you watched or know of arrays. So as long as I is less than 10, it will count. So it will never get to 10, even though we have 10 here. But since it's 0 to 9, or sorry, 0 to 9, that's 10 items. Okay, so that's not going to throw any errors. But what if we said less than or equal to 10? This is going to throw an error, because it's actually going to count to number 10, and it's going to try and throw 10 in here. So if we start this, and it kills it. And what is this? Problem caused the program to stop working correctly. Windows will now close the program. Notify. What did it close? Nothing. Well, that's cool. Okay, anyway. So if we read this here, it says index out of range exception was unhandled. So let's handle the exception. So the easiest way to handle an exception is a try catch. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to try to do this for loop. Okay, so above this for loop, we're just going to put in try. And you have to have brackets for these. So now we have to try. But because there's a try, we have to handle the exception. So it's going to try to do this. But if that fails, then we're going to do a catch. Now, sometimes you need more catches for certain things that you're trying to do. For instance, I've never had these problems. I've never had an array type mismatch. I've never had a divide by zero exception. Which, okay, this one, the array type mismatch, it handles errors from when type is mismatched with the array type. So maybe I'll make a video just on examples of these. Divide by zero is when you're dividing a dividend by zero. Invalid cast exception, get an error during typecasting. I don't even know what typecasting is. Or, I think I do. It sounds familiar, but maybe if I'm actually writing something that involves it, I'll know what it is. Out of memory, I have had this one, but that was an error issue with Visual Studio itself. And then the infinite Stack Overflow exception, where the website Stack Overflow is actually, I'm pretty sure they got their name from that. Now there are also user-defined exceptions, which are what we are going to do, which is what I'm going to show you how to do right now. But let's go back to this real quick. So if we have a catch, we can be specific on this catch. So if I go like this, and let's say I type in a divide by zero exception, and I go console.writeLine div by zero, and if you remember the error that popped up where it broke the program and everything. Now if we do this and we go start, it's still gonna break the program. And the reason is because the catch is looking for this specific exception. So instead of doing that, do index out of range exception. We'll just type in index. Now if we start it, well, it doesn't do anything because I don't have a console.read key. So you can see that now this prints the problem. Okay, so that's just your basic try catch. Now if there was multiple different exceptions that you needed to handle, you could do catch this, then you could do a catch divide by zero. So let's do console.writeLine div 0. And I don't even know if this is gonna work. Let's do int num equals 5, and let's do num equals num divided by 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and change this back down. Let's go start. I don't have a why did I delete that? Console.read key. Let's hit start on this. Divide by 0. So the div by 0 exception got caught. And it skipped the index one because there was no error with it. So I really hope you kind of understand what's going on there. So let's create our own. Okay, so I completely messed up on that last part. Or on a recording I did, so this is kind of pieced in. I do apologize for that. I don't really like a piecing in, but I had a complete, like, drop in knowledge for some reason. Okay, so, and I had to, like, test everything out. So what we're going to do is we had that class that was set up down here. So public class number exception. Now, to create your own exception, you create a class, and we're going to call it number exception. And you put a colon and type in exception because it's an exception. It's an exception class. It derives from exception, which has the I think it's a, I can't remember what it's called, but it has a base. I don't really use these very often, and I should. But here we type in public and the same name as your exception, and we're going to pass in the string message. Or, well, I'll go MSG colon, which, so number exception is going to bring in the string message. Then after this colon is where we bring in the base. So base MSG. No error. Okay, then up here in the previous class program, we have an integer. It's really loud in the other room. We have an integer equals 0, and we're going to do an if else. So let's do a if num is not, let's see, num equals 0, then we're going to throw the exception. So we're going to throw a new number exception, and we're going to pass in number is 0. Then we'll do an else, and we'll just do a console.writeLine number is not 0. Alright, now this is probably going to throw a problem. Yes, so here it says an unhandled exception of type project name dot number exception occurred in the program. So what we have to do is we have to send a message to that. So here we're going to do a not a try. We're going to do a, because since this threw that message here, what we need to do is, let's change this instead of that. Let's change it to 5. And if the number does not equal 5, that way we can do something else. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a try. Ah. Okay. Take that back. Alright, so what we're gonna... Why is that even up there like that? Go away. So, what this is gonna do is we're gonna create a new method. Static... Let's make it public. Public static void divide number divide number, and we're going to do an if-else statement in this. Control X. This is where we want the if statement at. So if number does not equal 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with a int num equals 5. That's done. So here we're going to do a try and a catch. So we're going to try to do the divide by number. Alright, so we're going to try to do, let's do a little multiplication, or not multiplication, but division numbers here. So console.writeLine, or write, enter a number. That's the way we can do user input. Int n equals, we'll go n1 equals int.parse console.readLine, and we're going to go do it again, console.write, enter a number. Then we're going to go int n2 equals int.parse console.readKey, or hang on, readLine. Alright, now we're going to pass in the variables n1 and n2 in here, right? So let's go with int n1, int n2. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take int1, we're going to say int num1 equals num1 divided by num2. Okay, then we're going to go int num2 equals n2 divided by n1. Now down here, we're going to say if num1 does not equal 5, or, so or is that, or num2 does not equal 5. So if neither number equals 5, it's going to throw an exception called answer is not 5. Okay, and then catch will be number is 5. Now when it throws the exception, or then it's going to come back here. The exception is going to be, so what we need to do is we need to do a console.writeLine. So console, because we have to write the error, console.writeLine, we have to do a we'll just type in error, then type in a colon with the 0 brackets, comma, and then we're going to go msg dot, or sorry, e dot, oh yeah, I forgot to throw the actual error, which is the number exception. E. Then we can go E dot message. Dang it. With a console.read key. Let's go start. Enter a number, 25. Enter a number, 5. Answer is not 5. You want to bet? Oh, I wrote this wrong. So if neither of them so if num1 does not equal 5, so that's saying if either or, yeah, that should have been right. Because if number 1 does not equal 5, do this. Or so if neither one of them, I have my if statement wrong. So let's go like this. If number 1 does not equal 5, else if this one does not equal 5, so let's not do that one. Let's just do it the first way, like that. And then I can take number 2 off. Let's hit start. My multiplication, or my reasoning is obviously wrong. So if I go 25 and 5, number is 5, right? That worked. So let's go start. And let's go 3 and 2. Error. Answer is not 5. So you can see how it went from asking the questions, parsing each question, then it goes to divide by number. Then we go here to the divide by number. We do a division. Then we ask if number 1 equals 5. Then what it does is if number 1 does not equal 5, it throws a new exception, which means what it does is it sends your text to this method here, or this exception, because we created an exception here. So it throws the string as message, but it also saves the base of exception as this here, as the message. So this becomes E, as in exception. So when it comes back, it catches the exception and it prints E.message, which we added error. We don't have error anywhere else. That's how you can tell it worked. If you need that in slow-mo, I'll go ahead and do this kinda. Not there, after that. So we will do it not at the try, yeah, at the try. So let's start. Enter this as 25, and we'll divide it by 3. And then we'll slowly step in with F11, or you can click up here so you can see exactly where it goes. So now it's dividing it. It checks, does the number equal 5 or does it not? It does not, so it throws the exception, which comes down here. And then it catches it and it throws the error. I really hope that made sense, and I really hope that we can start using this in the future with future projects. So with that being an ending, I'm going to throw up some ideas for the next program I want to write. It's going to be an actual program. See if I can find it. It's not there. Maybe it is. Yes, it is. Project ideas. So, here's some of them. I thought about making Hangman as a first one because it's simple. Tic-tac-toe is a little bit more involved. Pong is a little bit more involved. Then I thought about doing a 2D top-down character movement where kind of like an ASCII Zelda game, I guess you could say, but no Zelda part in it. Just like an ASCII character and then something like that. We could also do a 2D side-scrolling, so with objects coming from right to left. Could evolve into something, kind of like Mario, I guess. Scratch Terraria. Then I want to eventually move into speech recognition and speech synthesis, where, we can talk to the computer and he'll talk back. Or she'll talk back. I'll also show how to get different voices for free through Microsoft. My favorite is the one I'm using now, which is an Australian female. And so, let's see. We can do Hangman, Tic-Tac-Toe, Pong. I think I might actually do them in this order because Hangman is pretty easy, Tic-Tac-Toe is a little bit more advanced, and then Pong uses barriers. The 2D movement here, it uses your up, down, left, right arrow keys to move. And then we might add something into it, like maybe turn it into like an asteroids game or something like that. 2D side-scrolling, that's pretty easy. But we need to be able to use the character movement for jumping. And we need to use the Pong, which means that every object that comes into view will have a like a barrier, like a death zone, basically. Contact point, which will also bring up Hangman, which will bring up how many lives you have. When we get into things like speech recognition, then we will be able to do some stuff around the computer. I'm also going to get into file I/O before speech recognition. So this is going to be file I/O because we're going to be able to use file I/O with the speech recognition. And we're going to use basic TXT documents, so .txt, and we're also going to use .xml. So first we're going to learn how to write these. So let's go into Hangman first, and so stick around in the next video. If you haven't hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe so you can keep track of what all is going on. We're going to be able to do all of these in one game, so the games that I'm making, you're going to be able to choose which one of these you see. So, which is going to be part of the reusable code, so game menu, pause menu, and console settings. So, stick around and make sure you subscribe for all the next games and stuff. So, I'll see you in the next video.